Welcome, everyone, to my second podcast of BIZ Connections. And we're at the Pecatonica Taphouse in lovely Warren, Illinois, on a nice Saturday day, the first day of August. So I want to introduce Tim Quinn.
Hi, Tim Quinn.
Tim Quinn.
Owner and head brewer down here at the Pecatonica Taphouse in Warren.
Yep. Thanks, Tim, for doing this. They've got an event going downstairs right now. We'll film a little bit of that later. They're doing a sign show. You're selling signs, right?
Yeah, vintage signs. We have our own signs through Pecatonica Beer, but my brother and I, Tom, we grew up collecting signs, so we're just bringing some people together.
Cool. So I'm just going to go into a little bit of their background to kind of give you an idea how these guys started, where they came from, so you kind of get to know them a little bit. I've known Tim and Tom for a few years, and I just want to kind of touch on their background a little bit. So, Tim, I guess where'd you grow up?
I grew up outside of Gratiot, Wisconsin, between Gratiot and South Wayne, right on Highway 11. Grew up on a dairy farm there, like a lot of people in Wisconsin.
That's right. Yep, right on Highway 11.
Yep.
And big family?
Yeah, big family. 3 brothers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You never fought?
Oh no, we fought a lot. There was always plenty of weapons around the farm too, broom handles, whatever. But no, we all survived, and it's a very, very good childhood growing up on a farm.
Yep. Any good memories growing up?
Yeah, a lot of good memories. Definitely, the fall was always my favorite time of the year on the farm. A lot going on.
Yep.
It was kind of weird. At that time, almost everyone I knew grew up on a farm. Now it's quite different in the area.
Yeah, you guys, did you bale hay the old-fashioned way?
Oh yeah, little squares, one at a time, and it was that was not one of my fond memories.
I said the kids in this generation. That's one thing we kind of missed, unfortunately. Yeah, but so then, as you progressed through, you got out of high school, whatnot. You went to college?
Yep, went to college. Went to college at UW-Madison.
Okay.
And got a degree in biochemistry. So.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you any questions because I don't know anything about biochemistry.
Yeah, I think I still remember a little bit. It's been a few years back, but the good thing is I used it for my full career. So.
What do you do now? I mean, what is your...
with the brewery, I'm the head brewer and one of the main owners that kind of just keeps things moving along.
Yep.
But I also work for a pharmaceutical company on the East Coast. And what we do is we bring in pharmaceutical drugs from all around the world and supply it to the U.S. market. So much different than farming, much different than brewing beer, but at the same time, helping people out, making sure that we stay healthy.
Yep. And you're married?
Yes, right? I'm married. I have 3 wonderful children, and
good. Yep.
I have 2 that are in college, and 1 that is out of school and working as a biologist, biochemist right now.
Yep. So then I know a little bit about how the brewery got started. You and your brother Tom were kind of the instigators, if you will. So
and just so you know, this is a drinking interview, so.
Yes.
We have some of this Musca Lager right here.
By the way.
Cheers.
By the way, this is my favorite. They did actually the stout. I put it up there too. But yeah, this is my favorite. So, and you've probably heard the commercials.
Yeah, there's a lot of them out there. Yep. Big radio. And Scott does a wonderful job with our commercials. So real happy and proud how the company has grown. We're
referring to 93.7 FM. They have probably 5 or 6 different stations, but they really promote the business very well.
Yeah, they do. They're a great partner.
Yep. So you and Tom started this thing kind of from scratch, really, right?
We did. And Pecatonica Beer was not my first company. So I started Hypothesis Beer Company out of Chicago initially. And after a couple of years of running that, I wanted a brand that was more local, and I wanted to bring Tom into the business and a bunch of the folks that are owners of Pecatonica Beer.
Okay.
So learning what we learned from Hypothesis, we started the Pecatonica Beer Company.
What year roughly?
This would be like 2013.
Okay, so about 7 years.
About 7 years old is Pecatonica Beer.
So what's the learning curve on that? is it? How do you even begin?
Well, there's three levels. You have the brewery, you have the distribution, and you have the retail. And learning not just how to sell a product, because I've been in sales for years, but the beer industry is a very unique industry. It's very regulated with taxation. It's very family oriented when it comes to distributors. And you really, really need to understand who your distributors are, because they kind of hold the power of what small companies like Pecatonica or others make it and which ones don't.
Because as a layman, we see Budweiser, Miller.
Yeah.
And obviously they've got their distributor networks.
Sure.
Right? So
and
you're going against the big boys.
Well, actually, we were actually working with the distributors of Budweiser and Miller. So our product is being sold by Miller distributors as well as Budweiser distributors, depending on the territory. And we use independent distributors as well.
Okay.
And we have a Pepsi distributor, which is kind of strange. But, so different distributors that we work through that can sell our product, that have the right legal means to do that.
And a lot of our listeners are very familiar with the microbrewery industry. It's just absolutely exploded. I mean, it
has,
really
and
right?
frankly, I think and I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but right now there's too many craft beer companies because the distributors have a hard time taking on new brands. Now, if you have a small brewery where you're supplying beer for your neighborhood, that's great.
Okay.
But there's only so much shelf space in the retail, whether it's a liquor store or a grocery store. And with this retail, it's difficult to get your product on the shelf. The good thing for Pecatonica, we started 7 years ago, and it wasn't as crowded back then. And because it wasn't as crowded, we have a lot of prime retail space locally. And craft beer is local. It's hard to sell a craft beer a long ways away from your brewery, because that area has their own nice...
their own little... Yeah. Their hometown brewery is...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, there's exceptions. There's you think of Sam Adams, you think of Blue Moon, you think of Leinenkugels, these great companies that were purchased either by larger companies have grown, to national brands. So there are craft beers that do that, that grow beyond their territory. But I would say 95% of them are very local.
Sure. And what attracts me to the microbrewery beers themselves are their own unique taste. The name brand generic, the Miller, Budweiser, Coors, they have pretty much a very predictable flavor, very generic. And these beers have their own unique taste. So how many different varieties do you guys
So we do 5 production beers, and 4 of the 5 are lagers. So we have an amber lager, we have a dark lager, we have musky lager, which is a pilsner. We have an Oktoberfest that we make like a lager.
Okay.
And then the only ale is an IPA.
So what's the difference between a lager and an ale?
The yeast.
The yeast.
Yeah, there's ale yeast and there's lager yeast.
Okay.
And lager yeast ferments at a cooler temperature. Ale yeast ferments at a higher temperature, and the beer is created faster. Yep. So with ales, you get like fruitier flavors. You get much different flavors than what you would get in a lager. Now, a lager, usually they're crisper, they're cleaner, they have less of an aftertaste. Mm-hmm. And that's what I like, and that's what Pecatonica beer makes, is a lot of lagers.
So there's different it's a recipe, a specific recipe.
Sure.
I did a little research on the internet.
That's dangerous, Ron.
The heating, I'm not even going to try to make my own beer, we'll put it that way, but just give them a real simple layman terms overview of how beer is actually made. A lot of people don't have a clue how beer is actually made.
Yeah, that's a good question. Beer is made from 4 ingredients. You have yeast, which is either ale or lager. You have water. You have barley malt or other grains, malt. And the last thing you have is hops. Now, there's 4 ingredients, main ingredients. Okay. Now, if you make a shandy, you can throw fruit juice in there, like a lemon shandy, nice, refreshing summertime beer.
Yep.
People can put wheat in there, rye, all kinds of different malts, barley. Or main one is barley. But at the end of the day, you can create all kinds of different flavors from that, mainly from the hops and the malt. So those two, by changing up the hop variety and how much hops you throw in there and how long you boil the hops and when you throw the hops in, there's a lot of different variables. With the malts, there's literally hundreds of different types of malts that are roasted or caramelized to different flavors. And you can get them from different products, oats, barley, wheat, rye. And most of it comes from barley. Then you have 6-row barley, and you have 4-row barley. And by all the different variables that come through, you can create very unique beers. Now, the yeast itself creates its own flavors as well. So there's 3 parts there, and frankly, you always need good water. I mean, you have to have, purified, clean water. Whether you get it naturally from an aqueduct or you modify the water before it goes into the beer.
Okay, so there's a lot of checks and balances here as you're going through
lots
the
of
process.
variables.
Yeah, and once you have that formula down, I mean, you pretty much stick with the same formula, right? For that particular beer.
You stick, and that's one of the things, consistency. To make a great beer multiple times is one thing, but to make a great beer the same way, the same flavor, the same taste multiple times, that's tough. Now, the big guys like Budweiser and Miller, they've done an excellent job. These guys have perfected how they can make these humongous batches of beer, and it tastes the same all the time. And on the craft beer side, a lot of craft beer zealots, they don't talk very well about the domestic beers. I mean, I truly, from a manufacturing side, my background in manufacturing, I truly appreciate what the domestic beers do on a daily basis to get that product in that volume, in that consistency. It's an engineering marvel.
Do the microbreweries talk to each other?
Oh yeah, we talk to each other a lot. The microbreweries, it's like this little organization that are very helpful. And before I said there's too many microbreweries, and there's too many. Okay. But we don't interact that like there's too many. We're very helpful. If somebody else needs hops, we send hops.
Okay.
If there's ways that we can help them get into a market, we help each other out. The problem is, I think the consumers are getting a little bit confused on how many beers. You walk into a store, even a small store like in Monroe, 10,000 people, there's probably 100 different varieties of beer in each of the grocery stores. And a lot of times, consumers they get, it's just overwhelming.
Sure. Yep.
What do you pick? Is there enough room there? And beer has a shelf life. So all that beer has to move through at a very short period of time.
So you've got to predict that too.
So you have to predict that too. So the supply chain is very important.
Okay. The name came from Pecatonica, where?
Pecatonica River. So my brother and I grew up on a farm, and he runs the farm between Gratiot and South Wayne. Okay. And very near our farm is the Pecatonica River. So we wanted a name that could be recognized regionally. And believe me, most people, unless you're from like this area in southwestern Wisconsin, northwestern Illinois, they never heard of Pecatonica. They call it Pecatonica, and they think it's like a Czechoslovakian beer or something like that. So it's been an education once we started growing beyond our neighbors.
And if you've heard their commercials, what the heck, have a peck?
Yeah.
So it does work. Comes in handy. Yeah.
Yep.
So now you've got this established.
Scott O'Brien from Monroe developed that.
It's a very good.
Works for Edward Jones.
That's one of the best. That's one of the best lingos I've heard.
Yep. What the heck? Have a peck. Might be on my T-shirt. Somewhere.
So anyway, they do have the tap house here in Warren, and you guys make your own beer here for the tap house itself.
We do. So we have 5 varieties we sell on the shelf, all over the region, and we make about 7 beers here. Mm-hmm. And these are some of our ales. Most of our ales we make here. The stouts, the porters. And we make an apple ale. We actually made a beer out of maple sap, not out of syrup, but fresh maple sap out of the trees.
Maple sap.
Maple sap, and it's one of our fastest selling beers that we ever made. So we didn't use any water. It was 100% maple sap.
So is that coming up this fall, or is
It's a spring beer. So you
Spring
go
beer,
out, yeah,
okay.
like when you go out and tap trees in the spring.
Sure, okay.
And one of our local friends here in Warren, Aaron Smith, he was he's the town cop here in Warren, and he makes some maple syrup on the side. And
That's pretty cool.
yeah, he said, "Hey, I got some extra sap. What can we do with it?" So
I'll be darned. I'm going to ask you. So when you make the beer here, something a lot of people don't know, the equipment that when you set this up, started from the scratch like you did, you made a lot of your own equipment.
yeah,
Right?
we designed it. So we engineered and designed it. I spent a lot of time in Germany for my I guess what we consider our other jobs.
Sure.
I work for a pharmaceutical company out of Darmstadt, Germany.
Okay.
Just outside of Frankfurt. So I spent a lot of time in Germany and looking at some of the old German breweries. They were gravity breweries. They didn't have any pumps. And the reason why is pumps collect and gather bacteria. It's a good place for to infect the beer. And we built a gravity brewery here in Warren, Illinois.
Yeah, it's state of the art. I've seen it. I've watched. My wife and I were fortunate enough to watch you make a batch of beer.
Sure.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, the electronics, we built it, everything.
I mean, it's very specific. I mean, it's very high tech. I would call it.
And it hasn't made a bad batch of beer yet. That's the whole thing. We're happy with the system.
So cool. And then going on here, we got. Where do you see the brewery going in the future? Do you have any future hopes, dreams?
I think having a destination place for the city of Warren, the local people of Warren have really helped us out. And on Saturdays and Sundays, we get a lot of people from out of town that come in to the area because it's a destination. And Warren, like many small towns, it's a struggle when it comes to the business. There's a lot of good things happening in bigger towns, and people like to shop there. But I think we brought something to Warren where hopefully the locals are proud of. And I say locals, not only the city of Warren, but Gratiot, South Wayne, the Apple Canyon Lake area, Stockton. So many people from the area come down to the Warren Brewery often.
And to tell you, this building was on its last leg when you bought it.
It was. The roof was literally falling in. It was a three-story structure, the keystone building for the town, and it was in a very, I guess it was in a state of disrepair, but we repaired it anyways. And
if you know Tom and Tim, we call them the Quinn boys. When they take on a project, it's done right. And this is one of the nicest buildings I've ever been in. I've been in a lot of different venues and facilities, and I'll tell you, this upstairs where we're on the second floor. Second floor, and we'll do a little walk around later. But you can rent this out, right? Yeah,
you can rent out. We have on the first floor we have areas for smaller venues like 30 to 60 people. On the second floor, we have a wedding reception area that can do weddings up to about 325. So we're talking about 30,000 square feet that we've already remodeled. There's a third floor to this that we've basically secured and stabilized and did all the things that we needed to do. That's still open. I think the next thing that we have to do is get an elevator.
Elevator, okay.
Yeah, and for a little town like Warren, cost them an elevator for a upcoming little brewery, they're pretty expensive.
I don't think anybody's got an elevator in Lafayette County.
Yeah, and we're not talking a grain elevator.
Yeah. So, and upcoming events, we're having the Warren Pumpkin Festival is still on at this point. And you guys have something going on here.
Yeah, we do. We have a wrestling out of Rockford that are coming down here.
This isn't high school wrestling we're talking about.
No, this is more like wrestling.
This is the stuff you watch on TV.
Yeah, when I was a kid, we used to watch a lot of AWA wrestling with Hulk Hogan and the Gagne and all the folks like that.
And they've done comedy nights here. They really do a good job.
Lots of live music. I'd say for the area, one of the few places that have consistent live music.
And if you're doing, with COVID going on right now, of course, a lot of places are having to slow things down. But I know through the winter time, they've had jams.
Yeah,
Jam
Sunday
sessions.
jams. Yeah.
They're just a blast. Musicians will come in from all around.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. We've actually had a couple Emmy winning musicians here that snuck into here
Really?
for our Sunday jams. And we can't say who they were, but they were here.
Now I'm
So
curious.
sometimes you can see some very talented players, and they just play for beer. It's great.
Maybe Julie will tell me.
But with that said, COVID is a very weird time. It's a very serious time when it comes to how we interact with our friends and family, and hopefully everyone's staying healthy.
Right.
At the same time, we're going to get through it, and we're structured here since we did a lot of the work with our own hands. That we don't have a lot of debt, so we're going to be around, and we're going to be through this, and we'll be here to have our place available in the future.
This is one of the best atmospheres, folks. If you're looking for something to do, and what are your hours roughly? Give an idea. What are your
So we're focused around the weekends. We open up on Thursday at about 4:00, and we go until about 10. It's a work night, so we try to close down at a decent time. And Friday we're open about 4:00 until about midnight. Saturday we open up at noon and we go until about midnight.
Yep, they're very friendly bartenders.
Yep,
I'll vouch
friendly.
for that.
The more you tip them, the friendly they are. They are. But and then on Sunday we open up kind of late. We open up about 2:00 and we go until about 7 or 8.
Okay.
Keep it light on Sunday too.
People my age enjoy that for Sundays.
Yep, Sunday fun day.
Just closing with a couple things I always ask people at the end here. What would be one thing people would be surprised to know about you?
I think the amount of what we do outside of the area, like the day job. So I had to travel all over the world. I don't talk about it too much, but the thing that ties into the brewery, I got to go to breweries all over the place. We have a beer down here called Belgian Beauty. And that's because I went to about 6 breweries in Belgium, and they were making these very light wheat-based ambers. And I haven't seen anything like that back in the States at all. So we brought that beer back, called the Belgian Beauty. I think just the ability to experience not only the beers, but other cultures and things like that.
Sure, people you meet.
We certainly try to keep this as a very open place for everyone.
Didn't you take a trip down to Kentucky?
Yeah, we took a trip down to Kentucky too. Again, other cultures. We picked up some whiskey barrels down there, and we do some barrel aging. So we make beers and set them in these barrels, and they take on some of the flavors of the oak and some of the flavors of the whiskey, and they make some wonderful.
Down south, that's a big deal.
It is. It is. We say whiskey, they say bourbon, and there's a difference between the two. But
and I'm going to jog your memory quick. What about the Miss America thing?
Oh, jeepers! You
got to hear this one.
And I think it was 1987. I was an officer at the FFA, and we went out to Kansas City, and the national president of the FFA stayed at our farm. Our teacher was Mr. Meskey, Dick Meskey from South Wayne. So he stayed at our farm for a couple of days. So when I met the national president at the convention, he's like, "Oh yeah, you want to meet Miss America?" Because she was out there. And
Miss America.
Yeah, and so Miss America, and at that time,
we're not talking the Lafayette County Fair Queen. We're talking Miss America.
You can figure out who she was, but it's I think it was 1987 at that time, maybe 88. I was Gretchen Carlson out of Minnesota,
and she was on Fox News, if you remember.
For many years.
Many years, yeah.
Yep.
Very pretty girl.
Yep.
Ooh,
yeah.
You got to kiss her.
No, I didn't kiss her. She kissed me on the cheek. No, I was a gentleman. Come on. Don't start any stories here.
Anyway, one last little zinger here. What would be one, or if you could think of two, maybe one thing or truth you can pass on? If you could pass on to your friends in the world, what would it be?
I'd say the two things: work hard and take risks. And the people that take risks in a in a studied way. I mean, just don't
Don't
close your eyes and drive down the road. But work hard and take risks. That's the only thing that I can say. People wonder why, I guess, my brother and I, fix these old buildings up in these little towns. And at the end of the day, a lot of times we're the landlord, and nobody likes a landlord. So so that's why we're moving into businesses like this, where we're managing the building ourselves and creating the opportunity ourselves. Those are the two things that I would.
That's pretty good advice. Work hard and take risks.
Yeah. Because if you don't take any risk, you're not gonna. I don't know. It's just not fun.
Yeah, I always say people are either going through something or going to something. You want to make sure you're going to something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and enjoy that little ride on the way
That's
there.
right. It's the ride. It's the journey.
Yeah.
You guys have had a heck of a journey so far.
Yeah, we have.
I want to congratulate Tim. And like I said, we'll do a little walkthrough after this is done and pair it up with the video cast. But I want to thank everyone for listening in on Biz Connections. And we'll have another episode coming up. I'll announce it on my Facebook page. Okay? I want to thank Tim.
Thank you.
And we'll talk to you later. Hey, gang, this is Ron. So I'm going to bring Tom on to this part 2 here. We talked to Tim upstairs.
How's it going, everybody? This is a good sound.
This is Muskie Lager sound. We were at the Pecatonica Taphouse. And we're just going to kind of give you a little bird's eye view of what the downstairs is like here.
So today, I'm Tom Quinn again. Today we're having a beer show, a beer sign sale here today. We've got a lot of cool stuff around. We've got Peck beer signs, but there's a lot of cool stuff that was around before us.
Yeah, and this is something you're not going to see probably I haven't seen it ever.
Yeah, well, there's some cool stuff here.
Yeah.
But we have stuff going on here all the time. Today, that's what we have going on. A lot of live music.
Get a good shot, Quentin, of the. This is my camera guy here, Quentin Rudy's.
Okay, I'll give you something else.
Yeah, they got those are their beer types that they sell. Okay.
And Quentin used to film for the NFL, but he's retired now.
The bloopers. So we're gonna walk around and just kind of give them
and there's a lot of interesting things here. One of the more interesting things is this thing walking around right over here. Wally, say hi to everybody. Yep, like I said, one of the more interesting things in the place.
Yep.
And another interesting thing is that we got a lot of live mounts around here, fish, deer. We got Lydia the moose over there. But one of the coolest things is this wild monkey that a guy shot.
I've never noticed
25
that before.
miles south of here. I guess back in the day they had these weird wild monkeys for.
They came from around here.
Well, what they used them for is for like experimental stuff. Well, somebody, I don't know who it was, animal rights people came in, let all the monkeys go. So then after a while, they had to shoot them all. But he's pretty cool. Take a look at him again. He's got a real, he's kind of got a shit ass grin.
That kind of looks like one of my ex-girlfriends.
Yeah, like my wife sometimes.
We'll edit that part out, Julie.
Here. Hey, so Quentin, take a look at all these fine people at the bar. All woke the people out on a nice Saturday afternoon. Couldn't ask for a nicer day in Warren, Illinois.
By the way, this is one of the best locations right downtown Warren. Warren's actually a pretty beautiful town. You said you guys are open, what, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Yeah, we're open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have a next door neighbor where we have a hole right through the wall where he can deliver food in. So we got food here. We got a lot of good craft beer that we make in-house. And then we got other craft beer that we make in another brewery outside of the house. But there's a lot of neat beers that you can't get anywhere else but here.
Tom, what's this Indian thing here?
That is a cigar store Indian. Kind of a neat thing. I don't think he's very old, but he's kind of cool, so we brought him home. He's our friend now, and a really cool guy that hangs out here every day. Keeps an eye on the place.
And we're gonna head out here.
And one more thing about this room. Tim and I, we always like to keep our ducks in a row. I don't know if mine's the top row or the bottom row, but we keep our ducks in a row. Come on through.
Come on through. We'll get on here.
Black one's here too. look like this does.
So we got a lot more cool signs for sale in here. Normally this room is used for we use it for rentals for bridal showers, birthday parties, wedding showers, stuff like that. So we got 2 rooms down here we can rent out. Plus, I believe Tim showed you all the rooms upstairs
Yes.
for weddings and big parties and stuff like that. And Quentin, if you want to look up towards the ceiling there, if you can get that crew boat in there, that used to belong to the Badgers.
The Wisconsin Badgers
You
rowing,
betcha.
rowing.
That was their crew boat for the rowing team up in Madison. And they used that from the late 60s to the mid 70s.
And if you
And I believe there was 3 national championships won in that
I
boat.
was just going to say, they had several national championships.
Yep, and pictured on the wall over there is a bunch of fine gentlemen in 1973. And all but one of those guys has been in this building to see that boat again.
Wow. So how'd you get that boat in there?
It was kind of a funny story. We had to have the police stop the traffic to get it across the road and in the door. And we measured the length of the room. It was going to fit, but we didn't realize the doorway came in that far, so we actually had to cut a hole through the back wall just to get it in the building. And we really didn't have enough people the day we hung it. It was...
Touch
we
and go.
Yeah, it was bad, but we got it up in the air without anybody getting hurt and the boat not getting demolished.
Cool. This is a very nice room here, by the way. Brand new flooring.
Yep.
Very, very nice.
And we, if you look at the big beams through here, they came out of an old barn over by South Wayne. We beefed it up because all the people that we're going to have upstairs, we needed to have a little more support.
Is that a one-man boat?
Yeah. So this one here, getting back to the crew boats, this one here is a 8-man crew boat.
Okay.
And then Ron was pointing out this one over here, and that's a 1-man crew boat. And both of them are extremely light for how big they are.
Oh.
Welcome to room 3 of the
3.
downstairs tap house. So if you look around, another big cool room. We use this for a lot of dining when we're not using it for sign shows. And there's Lexi. She's one of the best euchre players in southern Wisconsin.
Don't cross her.
Won the national championship last
Yeah.
year.
Yep. If you just want to pan it around, there's
Yeah,
a really
this
old
is-
painting. We got a picture of that painting in 1880 that was in a building in 1880. So right now it's 140 years old, we know for sure.
Whoa.
Pretty darn cool.
Wow. Where'd you find it?
It was in our building in Broadhead when we bought it.
Oh.
So if you look up there, Quentin, that's a real airplane. We actually got the running gear, but it wouldn't fit, so the running gear is sitting behind it. So we had a hell of a time flying it in here, but with a little bit of trick flying, we got it through the front door.
Smooth landing.
Yeah, no, it's a pretty neat plane. There's all kinds of stuff to look at when you come in, and there's good people, great beer. It should be a good time for all.
And this building was pretty much run down when you bought it.
This
right?
this building was a tropical rainforest when we bought it. The roof leaked so bad. New floors, new ceilings, new everything. But when I say new, it's new, but a lot of the stuff is old. Like if you look at all the galvanized steel we use, the barn beams, even the galvanized steel came off a roof from a barn over by South Wayne, Wisconsin.
Really?
Hung up old signs, kept the old look. But
Yeah.
new plumbing, new electric, just a neat place. Saved an old building.
Yeah, this is really pretty impressive.
But if Ron gets this thing on real quick today, come down to our sign show.
This is unreal. If you like ham signs, I mean, there's more than ham signs, obviously, but
Next year we're going to do it again. We're going to make this an annual thing. So
this is American Picker's dream here.
it is.
And actually, next door is Wally's. The gentleman we saw in the first room was Wally, but he left. But that's the food.
And that hand gesture that Wally gave you is called the Warn Wave. If it gets popular.
That fat guy?
Yes,
That-
Quentin.
Actually,
that
four
large
people
gentleman.
just turned around when you said that. No, the pizzeria, we won't see it from here, but it's right next door. There's a pizzeria.
Yep.
What's actually the name of it?
Wally's Pizzeria,
Wally.
but he serves fish, steaks, barbecue, you name it, pork chops,
Wally's-
and pizza. So
Always a very good cook. So,
yeah. Once this whole COVID thing's done, we're going to open this up as a full-blown supper club. So coming soon, but we got to wait for some of this stuff to go away.
Yep. So this is pretty impressive. Like I said, you can rent this out.
Yep, we rent the space, rent it real cheap. We'll pack you in, and
Yeah, and they have live events here. Of course, you got the wrestling coming up.
over
Hopefully.
Pumpkin Fest, and we are still having Pumpkin Fest here.
The third week of September, if I remember right.
Is it, or is it?
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's towards the end of September. Just look it up,
Yeah.
and we are having wrestling again upstairs, and this is semi-pro wrestling.
Yeah. So anyway, want to thank everyone. Tom.
Yep, and thank you. Hopefully you come down and see us.
Very
We really
impressive,
enjoy seeing.
impressive place here.